What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first ever high school esports report. I'm your host, Coach Alne, and today we're going to be sharing the first ever power rankings for high school esports teams going into the spring. There's going to be a lot to cover in this video, so feel free to use the timestamps to jump around to which games you want to see. We've also included a link to the patch notes for this season in the top of our description to learn more about the rule changes from fall to spring. There's also some big updates to share, starting out with a brand new game offering this season, Halo. I hope this is good news for our FPS lovers, and if you're one of the many underclassmen who were impacted by age restrictions on titles like R6 and COD, don't worry, because you now have access to Halo Infinite. If you haven't already gotten your team registered yet, make sure to talk to your sponsor about fielding a Halo team this season. You can download it for free, and it's one of the few FPS titles that isn't rated M. Some teams have already gotten a little Halo experience thanks to our monthly community nights, which is a perfect segue to remind you all about community nights and what our Discord has to offer. If you aren't aware, HSEL has a Discord that is open to all high schoolers to join. In this Discord, we have fun free tournaments that you can enter to win prizes. We've got watch parties, movie nights, and we just launched our very own Minecraft server that you can be a part of. Just use our invite code to join today or find the link in our description. And with that, let's get into these power rankings. We're going to be spending all season covering as much action as possible, and if you want to be featured this season, please use the hashtag HSELhighlights to share with us your clips, team photos, jerseys, anything and everything related to your esports program. We'll be paying attention on all of our social media accounts and are excited to see what you guys share. Okay, starting off with Valorant, Hebron High secured the #1 spot with a completely spotless record for Fall Major. We're going to be watching them closely as they have some serious talent on their team. Second is Lake Braddock Esports, who came into the playoffs 10th seed, but they upset the #2 seed and made it all the way to the finals. Third, we have Evergreen Valley Black, whose school is actually on this list twice. Fourth is Vernon Hills Cougars. Fifth is Wichita East, who pulled off 2 upsets in the playoffs. Sixth, we have the Garnet Valley Jags, earning their spot as they were the only team to take a map off of Hebron High in all of playoffs. Seventh is Heritage High, who was seeded 24th, but pulled off 2 very big upsets during the playoffs. Eighth is Deer Valley, ninth is Whitney High, and rounding the 10th spot out is Evergreen Valley's white team. Evergreen's second team on this list. Moving on to Rocket League. You could have thrown seeding out of the window going into last season's playoffs because this bracket was full of upsets and turns, with the #1 spot ending up going to Poly Prep Esports, who was seeded only 9th going into playoffs. Very impressive run by them. #2 went to Carmel High, who came in as the 14th seed, but beat out the 2nd seed to advance to finals. Third went to La Suevo, who knocked out the 4th and 5th seed teams. For 4th, we actually have the Foresight Central Dog Dynasty team, who knocked out the #1 seed in round 2 of the playoffs, but ended up losing a close match to Poly Prep, and we expect them to do very well this year. At #5, we have Snyder High, who actually placed 4th last season and has already secured their spot in Nationals. 6th, we have the Vandergrift team. 7th, we have Naperville. 8th, we have the Francis Tuttle Cyberducks, which is a sick name. And 9th, we have the Seven Lakes, who put up a really good fight, but were ultimately eliminated by Carmel High. And rounding it out at the 10th spot, we have Eisenhower High School. For Call of Duty, we had a couple big upsets, but not nearly as much as the Rocket League tournament. In first place, we had the North Shore Mustangs with a very impressive run all the way through playoffs. Second is the Crestwood Chargers. Third is Inver Grove's esports team. And fourth was the Cedar Creek Eagles, who had the most surprising run, coming in at the 17th seed and cracking into the top 4. Fifth, we have the Jesuit Rangers, who put up a very close match against Cedar Creek. 6th, we have the Buchanan Leviathans. 7th, we have the Gainesville Leopards, who eliminated the 6th seed in playoffs. 8th, we have the SEHS Seminoles with 2 upsets under their belt. 9th is the Maize South Mavericks, who put up a tough match against Gainesville. And 10th, we have the Monsignor Farrell Lions, who had a close matchup against our #5 team, the Jesuit Rangers. With Call of Duty switching to Vanguard this season, maybe take these with a grain of salt because it's ultimately going to come down to which of these teams adapts the quickest this season. On to our Rainbow Six PC tournament. This bracket was even closer than Call of Duty, with 8 of the top 10 seeds clawing their way through playoffs and finding themselves back in the top 10 going into this season. At number 1, we have the Jesuit Rangers, who, if you remember, also currently hold the 5th ranked spot in Call of Duty. Second, we have the East Lake Titans. Third, we have the Griffins. And fourth, we have the Bradley Central Bears, who were actually the first seed going into playoffs. At 5th, we have the Redwood Esports team, who put up a close match against our champions, Jesuit. 6th, we have Galesburg Esports. 7th, we have Huntington Beach Esports, who got taken out by the Titans. 8th, we have the Vianney Esports team, who were eliminated by the Griffins last season. 9th, we have Whitland Esports. And 10th, we have the Weber Rams, who we think were eliminated a little bit too soon in the tournament by those pesky Titans. For CSGO, our tournament's a little bit smaller, so for this list, we put together our top 8 CSGO teams from the spring major. Now, obviously, you have the top 4 teams who placed accordingly last season. There was an upset, however, as Charter overtook the first seed Millbourne in a 3-0 matchup in the finals. You then saw the 5th and 6th seed teams battling it out for 3rd, which was ultimately claimed by the Brighton High Bruins, bumping that Ata Skokita, don't know if I said that right, to 4th. With only 8 teams in the playoffs, it was pretty easy to come up with rankings from there. North Quincy and Bayshore are staggered respectively at 7th and 8th going into the spring season. We then ended up with ranking Western High lower than their 4th seed competitor Liberty High, since Liberty only gave up a win to Brighton, who was seeded 5th, while the Westerns lost to the 6th seeded team. Since there weren't that many R6 console teams in the playoffs, we went ahead and combined the top 4 teams from each division. On the Xbox side, the Ridgewood Maroons came into the playoffs seeded 1st and delivered a fierce matchup to all of their competitors. Ultimately, they claimed the R6 Xbox Championship in honor of their seeding and continue on in 1st place. 2nd place was secured by the Rancho San Juan Trailblazers, who also placed in their respective seeding position. The final matchup was the only series that took the teams to all 3 games. Monsignor Farrell High School, seeded 3rd, relinquished their rank to the OAB CIG High School, who stole 3rd place right out from under them in the semifinals match. Looking over to the PlayStation side, Holy Name Esports dominated the playoffs in this division. Seeded 2nd, Holy Name was really out here doing the Lord's work when they pulled off a clean sweep against every matchup they had, securing them the title of Fall Major Champions. Despite this impressive run by Holy Name, Sci High had the biggest upset in the tournament, knocking out the 1st seed in a close series against Bishop Ward's very own Cyclones. Their matchup was the only one in the PlayStation tournament to take it all the way to a 3rd game. Unfortunately, that defeat lands the Cyclones at rank 3 in our picks for this season. As for the Albion County Rebels, they're going to be ranked at number 4 after giving up a victory to Holy Name and then not being able to claim 3rd over the Cyclones. Moving on, here we have the top 8 competitors in our 2K leagues. We're showcasing our top 4 picks on 2K for both Xbox and PlayStation. For Xbox, Declan B from the Maroons held on to his position all the way through the tournament. Starting the tournament out with an easy win since the opponent forfeited. Round 2, Declan didn't give up, and on his way to the finals, he didn't drop a single game. Daniel from Dan Latias also had a fairly clean run up to finals where he and Declan faced off. He started out seeded 6th, but he earned the number 2 spot for the upcoming season. While Tavon from Summer Creek, the 5th seed, has secured the number 3 spot. As for PlayStation, we see a familiar name pop up in the 3rd seed. The Xbox champion Declan, who was seeded 4th going into the playoffs, for this title managed to secure 3rd place from Summer Creek High's Jaden. Jaden also lost to Lewin, hailing from Southern University Labs. Lewin found himself facing off against Charleston's Pirates' top competitor, Zion, who was seeded 1st coming into the playoffs, and who swept all of his matches. Would you believe it if we said chess had some of the biggest upsets in our league? Right off the bat, the number 1 seed from Valley Christian was overthrown by Samik from Rancho Solano. In at the 10th seed, he didn't let that dissuade him from making a run all the way to the finals, where he ultimately claimed victory. 3rd and 4th place on our rankings go to the 22nd and 28th seed respectively, who outperformed their seed and came into the season with a much higher rank. Zach from Providence High claimed a 3rd place victory over Renee, which put her in 4th. The 2nd and 26th seed, now 5th and 9th on our power rankings, each had a very close matchup against Samik, the chess champion. Raphael and Oliver should have an interesting season ahead of them, coming so close to toppling Samik's reign in the playoffs. Tyson from Thunder Esports also had a close matchup against Renee in the quarterfinals, who ultimately won 4th. Tony from Valley Christian, coming in at 7th on our ranking, had a bittersweet taste of betrayal as his teammate Elium, the 2nd place winner and number 1 seed, knocked him out during the quarterfinals. Vito from Westmo was knocked out promptly after reaching the quarterfinals, despite collecting a win against the 3rd seed. And last but certainly not least, Patton from Porter God in the 6th seat. This player made it further than his counterpart William, who had gotten knocked out by the 3rd seed. Unfortunately, the Porter God legacy was short-lived to round 2, so hopefully we'll see Patton make it further in our ranks for the spring season. And with that, that is going to do it for our first high school esports report this season. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you're still listening to me talk, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you obviously want to hang out, and I don't want you to miss any further episodes. And with that, let's get geared up for an exciting season of high school esports. I'll see you in the next episode.